Sydney or Melbourne, they actually getting about $25.78 per hour.
But they're on EBAs.
And on the 38 hours, not like us. At the moment we're working 40 hours.
Disadvantage, like Rom said before, was that the company, basically they're not willing to pay us the 3 hours weekly of overtime that we do. Basically it's a 43-hour week before they start paying the overtime.
Yep.
And only after that they pay only at time and a half. Where everywhere else where there's an EBA, it's usually the first 2 hours at time and a half, and then it's double after that, and on weekends it's double. So, and you know, the work out there is not easy. I mean, some of us, like myself, I have to work inside the fuel tanks. We'll have to wear all chem suits, breathing air apparatus, take out all the components, and we're only getting also a $600 a year allowance to work in the fuel tanks. As a way to try to make us sign up for the individual contracts, but it's not enough. It's not fair.
I will explain to you a simple question what they put it to us. The explanation what they have, how is working hours salary, because we don't have wages, we have salary. Every second week we're getting paid. The deduction for them, how is hours award? Hours award is only from the metal trade. It's $621.80. That's what they call it, the award, the metal award for us. Yeah. Now from there, they including annual leave for weeks, the 17.5%, you know, loading. The overtime is calculated from that amount, so will be around $24.54 an hour. That's overtime. That's all included in the package. All the allowances, whatever existing is incorporated already on that. Plus, if you want to work overtime, or they ask you to overtime, because you practically work in the 40 hours. That's what they sign with the client. So we need to provide 40 hours of work for them. If you look at on that one, we are below any normal aircraft industry, because fabrication, what is anyone pick up from the street can do that job. You teach them a little bit and they will do the job. They're getting $25 an hour, right? Plus, we're getting only 21, but it's included everything for 40 hours. You see, unfortunately, we are below the standard what Boeing Australia have around the country. And all the, you know, the agreements what they have in the United States, Victoria and New South Wales, in Sydney at least, they are all collective agreement. But now, what is the base? What we can say the base is, you know, like the Defense Department, we can call practically. We are all in individual contract. So every one of us have a different wages. And they ask us not to say to the next one, you know, how much you're earning, keep it to yourself. Because some of them, you know, I'm sorry to say that, but anyone who is licking bumps, you know, will got the benefit. If your face is nice, blue eyes, or you will get it higher.
Can I add, that's one of the main issues that why everyone, this whole issue of us searching for enterprise bargaining agreement has basically, and us coming out on the picket, is because of the discrimination of the whole system of what it is individual contracts. Like Ron was saying, it's not just about pay. I mean, let's say, I'll come in and I'm offered $3,000 more than a person that's been working on the aircraft 4 years already. It's already experienced on the machine, and that person has got to teach me how to pull out components, all that. How's he going to feel if I'm earning that? And he's got no control. He can go up to human resources and ask them, well, what's this different? And we'll say, well, we just got a system with that individual. And yeah.
If you like it, they said, if you don't like, there is the doors.
Basically.
Simple as that. That's what they will tell you straight away.
And there's not much recognition of in terms of skills. I mean, you're not talking about, you know, a person that just cleans or anything. We're working on aircraft that's, you know, they're quite advanced in technical expertise, and, you know, And for people that have been like a few years already in the industry and getting underpaid and not getting paid for what they really should be paid for their experience, then yeah, basically it's not on. Yeah.
Unfortunately, we have that system, and to change the system, the only way we can have now is strike.
And what about when you get injured? An accident? Then
Well, in that way they consider it a lot, you know, it's a quite safe place to work. Yeah, we don't have any problem with that. But the remuneration in a way for people who really work very hard, like people who are working inside the tanks, when you're removing, suppose the bags, the fuel bags, right, it's a very dangerous place to work.
Your lungs.
Well, if you're using a breathing apparatus, you know, you force your lungs, so you cannot work more than 5 years on that. Now we're spending some time up to 8 hours inside the tank, just to repair some modification, whatever it is. Sometimes, you know, they need to pump air inside once the bags are removed. So, and it's so small the compartment that practically you're like, how we can say, like a banana inside. You know, legs up, head up, and when you want to go out, you know, for tea or whatever it is, you're practically paralyzed. Because it's very hard, you know, your blood keeps running down. And
I mean, all the safety aspects of the company that's introduced are there. OH&S, everything's right about the suppliers of all equipment. It's just the way that they pay that money, all basically skills that apply to do the jobs. Yeah.
And the courses you need to go, sometimes take a month, you know, to take the course just to do one job. And you have people coming from another base now to replace us. They have no knowledge of that. They have completely different aircraft, and they need to be taught, right? Now, in this time, what we spend 9 weeks already, how much they going to learn? When for us, sometimes a new person who is coming will take it at least 3 months minimum, and they will not learn everything. It's impossible. Some of us, like myself, I've been working for 20 years on the FA-18 since they brought them here. In a place, I'm the only one who's been working for so long on that type of aircraft. The other ones are working on F-111, completely different aircraft. So before they can start working, you need to be supervised constantly, the 8 hours. That's a big difference. Unfortunately, the company is playing with safety too.
That's right.
Yeah. Basically, in our struggle, we're basically going to stay up there one day longer.
Yes.
That's the argument.
No matter how hard it is, the morale is really high still. It will be till the end.
If you go over there to the picket line and talk to any one of them, we can say that 38 of us when we started, we still 35 of us is continuing the full way. Only one pull out from the union, only one. But because that's involved 10 apprentices and 14 contractors. And the contractors are not part of the companies, they're only coming for temporary.
They're on
So 68 includes contractors.
72, because we have four bosses too, you know, that's, we can call them steel workers.
Bosses supporting?
Well, you know, I mean, the leading hands, what we call.
Oh, yeah.
So we still counting them as a workers.
I think the situation of most of the guys that are in there, basically they have a background where they've been involved in the industry, where they've had problems, because they're mostly ex-Airforce.
Yes.
So therefore, they're not really like to get involved with union or any issues like that. So basically, it's more like trying to side up with the bosses and be good and all that, and you
well,
know,
because the bosses are ex-RAAFs
as well.
So can you imagine if he's you know, they know each other, they practically neighbors, you know, some of
And
the cases.
There's this kind of sentiment of probably more Americanism in the company more than Australian. You know, I mean, you're talking about an American company which is alien here in Australia, and the government's pretty much given them an opportunity to do the upgrade and the development of Australia's frontline defence aircraft, and it's basically employed all Australian personnel, like, I mean, skilled labour, and they're not really doing anything to keep
Practically,
up with
they're
the good.
treating us as a second-class citizen,
Yeah.
simple as that.
What about the Hawker de Havilland people? They
Hawker
were
de-
taken over by Boeing.
Boeing Australia. Okay, they have it on Boeing Australia. And they still belong to the same company?
Orchid de Havilland is basically a subsidiary, but it's a company that's owned by Boeing Australia. So, and they got an EBA.
So how much support from other Boeing workers have you got around the country?
Oh, from Melbourne
and
and from Sydney, we have a lot of support. Yes, even financially, and they cannot take action because the law doesn't accept a secondary boycott, what we call, right? Simple as that. They tied up our hands, but. Because we have different unions also, you know, the metal workers union, they are 100% supporting us. And they're putting all these emails, you know, to the company protesting why we've been treated as a second-class citizen and they are in the better condition than us. And we are more highly qualified than them. So we have, we can say, 80% of the support from the other places. We cannot say 100%, it's impossible.
Yeah.
So what
Well,
sort of...
can I just get an indication? Like, will people want to have discussion about the Boeing dispute now, and then we
People like us who may or may not be in other unions, for instance students or other workers or...
Financially, we are getting quite all right at the moment. They are helping from all over the country. It's getting help, and
basically the other thing is getting what we're fighting for out there in Australia through media, basically.
Yes, that's
trying to get it on a national level. We've been trying. I mean, people have come up. I mean, members from Parliament and union officials and all that, and even just the community. But I think we need to get it up there because it's an issue that's affecting Australia's frontline defence. It's affecting defence. What do you call it? Agenda and all that. So.
But not only that, now is the fight
relations.
Is exactly, we have the industrial relation against us practically, you know. The Prime Minister said, oh yes, we can have a collective agreement, but the company doesn't want to do it. So who is going to force the company? Now, the support of the area, of the Hunter Valley, is fantastic. People come in dropping food for us, bread, everything what you can expect it. We are quite managing in that situation. People are, you know, coming around visiting us because that's what we want, people to come in to visit and ask questions because that's important for us, you know, to keep the morale high. And we really, at the moment, the wedge for the fight, because we started before all these changes coming out. So they trying to, how to say, merge a little bit the fight with the federal government because it's affecting everyone now.
Of course.
And that's very important for the people, you know, to support not only themselves but us, because what they said at the moment, we are the wedge on the fight because we started before.
I might just jump in from the chair and let people know that we sort of wanted to use tonight to launch these posters that Socialist Alliance has produced, which just say support the Williamstown workers, fight individual contracts, pay cuts, unpaid overtime, award stripping and the rest of Howard's union busting, and have both the Williamstown website and the Socialist Alliance website for people to get more information about those campaigns.
What we need is the community, really the community, to get a little bit more support on the area where, I'm sorry to say, the scabs are living at the moment. It's very important for us to get rid of them. because then we shorten the fight.
Where are they?
How? They living in Nelson Bay,
Psychologically affect them.
and if you're going to protest in front of where they living in the morning or the afternoon, are really panicking them. They've been calling the police,
Because more.
and the police are coming around visiting us and say, well, don't overstep the line. We don't do that, but I mean, already the hotels, you know, are complaining that because, you know, the clients are getting disappearing from that place because everybody's protesting them, you know. And so that's one of the main fights we have at the moment, is to get rid of the scabs
What
who
hotel
coming
are
from
they
Queens.
staying?
From Windsor.
At the moment, they are in the bowling club in Nelson Bay.
And they've got jobs to go home to anyway, don't they?
They do, but unfortunately, the people in Amberley and Orkney are against them too, because they are scabs. They have a job over there, but because the company has all day just to come in here, they fly them in, they provide them with meals and accommodation, and they rent a car. So they're getting roughly about $1,500 extra, you know, just to be away. And well, they have no heart. Some of them, they don't care because
No, they got no
some of them are ex you know, Airforce, and many of them are, you know, in the reserve, so they don't care. They said yes sir, no sir, yes sir, no sir. That's the way they handling. And it's very hard to, you know, they frightened, completely frightened, because every time we call them scabs in the hotels, or when they come in through the doors, they don't want to, they're just hiding.
Do they
don't want
wear
to
their
be
uniforms outside of work?
No, they don't. They try to avoid us. We don't let them even drink in the on the water holes, what they call it, whatever you can call them, because we annoy them. We're spending the time over there just to annoy them. So psychologically, you know, we're still winning a little bit in the battle, because they started with about 17, now it's only 11.
Great.
But we wish all of them gone, because then
Our union looks after the lowest paid workers in Australia. We're called the Liquor, Hospitality and Miscellaneous Workers Union, but we're the miscellaneous division, and we look after all the cleaners, security guards, childcare workers. Anyone else who doesn't pick up with the union, our union will pick them up. So we're the union that actually backs the state wage and federal wage cases, the national wage cases. We trot out all the witnesses in regards to those cases and put some poor worker up on the stand to say, you know, how little they earn every week in regards to the minimum wage, and why they should have a better wage system and more wages, of course, each week. Now, we've been successful. We, of course, always ask for more than we end up getting from the Industrial Relations Commission. In the last 2 years, we've asked for $30 and $28 a week. The ACTU has at times tried to ask us to ask for less, because they say that you know, asking for more makes it controversial, and we're likely to get less. But we believe that our workers do just as an important job as the Boeing workers. The Boeing workers have skills, but so do our members, and the country couldn't operate without cleaners and security guards and childcare workers. Let me tell you, it would close down really quickly if you didn't have those people outside doing that work. So we continue to ask for more, and we have been successful in getting $19 and $17 a week. And I must say that at least with Labor in the state, they've flowed those on immediately to the state wage case without us having to go to the Industrial Relations in the state to fight that. Now, under Howard's laws, our members will face the Fair Pay Tribunal that, or Commission that Howard is talking about. And if you have a look, he says he bases it on the British system, Well, in the British system, over the last 8 years, workers have gained 40 cents an hour, equivalent in Australia, to Australian money. So we're up for it. We're up for a battle for our workers under the minimum wage. Kevin Andrews came out and said that workers in the last 2 years have been paid on the minimum wage $70 too much. So you tell a childcare worker or a cleaner who takes home the minimum wage that that's enough to live on. In this day and age, well, it's not, and we'll be out there fighting that and trying to keep a fair wage for our members. We're working in concert, of course, with the ACTU. We're an affiliate of the ACTU. We've had discussions about how do we actually win this war, because it is a war and it's not going to be easily won. And we talked about whether we should do it in the traditional way that unions have done things for a long time. I mean, if you remember, not so long ago we had the March on Canberra, where we knocked down the doors of Parliament House, and it didn't do us any good as a union movement, I might say. And we're talking about, no, I mean, we never expected it to do us any good with our government, but it didn't do us any good in the community. We have to, in this fight, actually win people's hearts and minds. We have to win the community and bring the community with us. And we have to win the churches and the broader community groups. And we've started doing that. We've got our members now telling us what groups they are members of. And you'd be surprised, they're members of a very diverse range of groups right across the spectrum. And they are now going out. We're training our delegates and our activists to go out and speak to those networks, because if we can bring them along with us, we will win the fight, because the fight is about getting rid of Howard. We're not going to stop that industrial relations legislation going through in some form. We may be able to modify that by lobbying the backbenchers and lobbying the National Party and have some modifications made to that, but we won't stop it in some form of going through. So we have to have a look at this in the long term, and we have to get rid of this government at the next election. At our last National Council, we had a discussion about affiliation to the Labor Party and what our members actually want us to be affiliated to or not be affiliated to, and about making, if we are to be affiliated to the Labor Party, making the Labor Party accountable back to our members. And so we have now started also a campaign, because our members did vote to stay affiliated to the Labor Party, but we've also got a strategy there now to go back to all of the members who have been elected, the federal members who've been elected to Labor, and we've got a strategy in each state to go back to those members and put questions to them from our membership, the federal Labor Party members, with questions about what they actually see as important for our members for the next election, where they stand on the industrial relations policy. And I got an email, that's why I was a bit late actually, I was just clearing my emails before I came from the office. And I had an email back from Kim Beasley, because some of my members had been in and actually emailed him in regards to the policies for Labor, and they had said to him that he's not public enough. You know, why isn't he out there now saying what his policy is on AWAs, what his policies are on a fair wage for poor workers? And so we're waiting now for an answer back to that. So, but this is the first time that our members have actually been involved in a strategy like that, and we're trying to politicise them to the point where we're not saying to them that this party is better than the other party, but to actually politicise them to the people who are elected to represent them about what they intend to do in the future, to actually make sure that the things that our members are concerned about, you know, come to the fore. That's our first magazine out about Howard's IR changes, but we have started activist meetings and activist training now in regards to it, and we intend to go forward and fight it, but we have to do it as a collective. I know that the trade unions in Newcastle don't always support the Socialist Alliance, and I have a different opinion to that. You know, I'm 57 years old, I've just turned 57. I've been a union official for 15 years, but I've been a trade unionist all my life. And my mother was a trade unionist before me, and my grandfather, and our family has been raised on trade union principles and traditions. And I look at now, and I've raised 2 sons and I have a grandson, and I'm bringing them up through the tradition of workers' rights. But I look around within our own union and within our own movement, and most of the people that I see are around my age or not much younger. And I value resistance and the Social Alliance, and I think good on you. You know, you're actually attracting young people, and you need to keep attracting those young people. And I hope they take over from where I leave off, to be honest, because I can't do it forever. I want to do it forever, you know, but I know that there are limitations to what I can do. And so I just say, you know, I'll be there to support you. I know that you've been there to support us. We've asked you to come to some of our cleaners rallies, and we always get your support. I saw you on Friday, many of you, out at the Boeing rally.
Correctly.
That we were there at the Boeing rally, and I saw you there, and I see you at most of the places that I go. And I thank you for your support that you are there, because without you, I don't know what we're going to do. And I'm going to keep up the fight, and if there's anything I can do to help you along, and if you can help us, we'll certainly talk to you about that. But that's where our union's coming from. I'd like to see the trade unions in Newcastle doing more locally. I think that on Sunday, this Sunday coming, us all going to Sydney is really bullshit. I think we should be having something here. I was offered the job in Newcastle, and I thought, you beauty, I'm coming to Newcastle, a union town, and I got here and they dismounted BHP. That's not a very good sign, and I arrived here on May Day, I might say. And I thought, my God, you know, if they could do that to BHP in Newcastle, what can they do in the future? Well, they're showing us now. They're showing their hand what they can do in the future. It's not just the BHP workers, or the MUA workers, it's now the Boeing workers, and it will be all workers in Australia. And we've got to educate those workers to stand up and fight these draconian laws.